Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of our Financial Aid Wednesdays series. Here we talk about ways to make college more affordable and easier on your wallet. We talk about things like financial aid, scholarships, loans, grants, educational tax credits, and a lot more. All so that your kids can go to great colleges without overpaying, avoiding loans, and minimizing your financial stress. So, look, if paying for college is in your future, stay tuned right here for money saving tips that you won't get from Google, from your kid's high school counselor, and certainly not from colleges themselves. Hey, my name is Roman Polnar. I'm a financial aid expert, and I'm your host for these series. And today, I want to tell you about the number one mistake that I see families make that forces them to overpay for college. Now, I see this happen every single spring, usually between March and April, when high school seniors get their acceptance letters, their financial aid awards, and then parents will start frantically looking for ways to lower their college bill. This happens every single year. Some families will file financial aid appeals. Most still won't get enough money. And so they'll end up resorting to taking out student loans, digging into retirement savings, or often they'll just go deeper into debt themselves. But in the end, they'll end up paying more for college than they should have. They'll end up overpaying, which is unfortunate because had they just done this one thing differently 12 months earlier, all of this could have been avoided and their experience would have been very much different. Instead, their kids would have gotten their acceptance letters and financial aid awards with enough money to make paying for college easy. Well, at the very least, easier. And instead of frantically looking for any bits of money in the very, very last minute where options are so limited and there's so much stress going on because they're facing these incredible deadlines, well, families could have been choosing colleges that gave them all the money that they would need or close to that. And instead of drowning their kids or themselves in loans, families could have paid for college with no or minimal debt. So, what could these families have done differently? Well, the one thing they could have done differently just 12 months earlier that would make all the difference in the world when their kids were still juniors in high school is to look for colleges that had money to give them. And I want to highlight the word them, money to give them, because everyone is different. Everyone has a different situation. Our kids are different. Their grades are different. What they want to study is different. Where they want to study is different. And you know what? Our finances are different too. Every single one of us. So if you want to find the most money to help you pay for college, well, you have to find good fit colleges that have money for you and for your specific situation. Here's what you want colleges that will be a good fit for your child. Like that goes without saying. Obviously, we wouldn't be having this conversation if you weren't trying to get your kids into a good school. Of course, you want a college that will be a good fit for your child. But you also want a college that's going to see your child as a good fit for them. And you want to see or find a college that will give you enough money to bridge that gap between whatever their cost is and how much you've got saved. Now, look, some of you may be thinking, okay, Roman, that sounds good, but hey, my kid's not a valedictorian. My kid doesn't have, like a 12.0 GPA, and they haven't set any SAT records. So I just want to get them into college. Like that's hard enough. I get it. Now, some of you might be thinking, again, Roman, that all sounds good, but what if we don't qualify for financial aid? Maybe you've got friends who sent their kids to school that are kind of similar to you in a similar situation. And you heard that according to the financial aid system, you make too much money to qualify for financial aid. So, even though you may not have enough money saved because of where you live, you don't think that you'll qualify. So why bother? Like all of these are valid reasons to be skeptical. But I'm going to ask you to put your skepticism aside for a minute because All of these are only half truths. Look, the reality is there are over 4,000 colleges in the US. And with 4,000 colleges to choose from, everyone can find at least 10 or even 20 good fit colleges. I guarantee it. Remember, a good fit college is the college where your student will have a great college experience, will get a good degree, and graduate in 4 years. But it's also a college that's going to see your child as a good fit for them, and a college that's going to give you enough money so that whatever the gap between what they cost and what you have saved is going to be made up in some ways. I'm not going to talk about the financial aid system in this episode because we've got other episodes that are focused just on that topic alone, but I can promise you there's enough money in the financial aid system for everybody. In fact, there are 4 different financial aid systems that we have in the US. And depending on your personal situation, you just got to orient yourself to the right financial aid system for you, and you can find the money. But in this episode, I want to talk about finding that right fit college or the right fit colleges that your student should be applying to, because at the end, when they get accepted to more than one of those perfect fit colleges, you'll have so many more options. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But you got to invest that time today. You got to do that research right now. And you got to do this together with your child. Don't just leave them alone to handle this by themselves, because they're missing the financial part of this entire conversation or this entire equation. And that's okay. They're teenagers. They're not supposed to know everything there is to know about finances. In fact, a lot of parents don't know enough about the finances because the financial aid side of things is complicated. I get it. That's why we want to help you find the right fit colleges from the financial side of things right now when your kids still have options. So, here are the 3 things that you got to do to find the right fit college. By the way, if you have any questions and you're watching this live, feel free to put them in the comments. Or if you're watching a replay, put in the questions in the comment section below, and a member of my team or I will find it and we'll reply to you. We'll answer your questions. And if this is helpful, give me the thumbs up. Let me know that this is helpful, and share with your friends that might have college bound kids as well who you think might need help paying for college also. All right, let's get back to our list. The number one thing that you should do is write down how much can you comfortably afford to pay, per year for all 4 years. It doesn't get very complicated. What's that number? How much can you comfortably afford to pay every year for 4 years? That's number one. Then number two, you got to figure out what colleges are going to want you to pay. That's something called your expected family contribution. That's your EFC. You don't have to wait until your kids are seniors in high school when they're filling out the FAFSA or the CSS profile to find out what your expected family contribution is. In fact, you should model or estimate your expected family contribution earlier, like right now. It doesn't matter if your kids are freshmen, sophomores, or juniors. Do it now. They're free tools to help you do that. You can go to thecollegeboard.org, and in the little search icon, look for an EFC calculator. Then just plug in your numbers. It's super easy, 10, 15 minutes, and you're going to get a pretty good sense of what colleges are going to expect you to pay when the time comes. Having that number will be very, very important. I'm going to tell you why that's important in a minute. But do that now. Don't wait until your kids are seniors in high school and you have to go on record officially by sharing your income and your savings with the government and with all the colleges. Doing this earlier will help you in 2 ways. Number one, at least you're going to know how much you're going to be expected to pay, and you can compare if that matches up with what you can actually pay. But it gives you another very important advantage, and that is you now have the time to figure out if you can shift things around, in the right way to optimize, or to, I should say, minimize the amount that you'll be expected to pay. Because the financial aid formula doesn't care and doesn't look at all of your savings, it only looks at some of your savings. So if there's time for you to properly position your finances to present yourself in the best, most favorable light to the financial aid formula, why not take that time? Because then you'll be expected to pay less. And, I can't tell you how many times I get calls from usually families of high school seniors after they had already submitted their financial aid forms, coming to us and saying, "Hey, we didn't get enough financial aid. How come?" Um, or we didn't get any financial aid. That happens as well quite often. Like, how come? And the first thing we do is we go over their financial aid forms, because those are the forms that, you reported your income, your savings, and like where the money is and how much it is, and all that data got was shared and sent directly to colleges. And colleges used that information to put together your financial aid award. So if you were expecting to get money from colleges and you didn't get any, oftentimes it's because of something that was in your financial aid application. And I can't tell you how many times we uncover silly little mistakes that have tremendous consequences. Sometimes they just increase the expected family contribution, making it seem to colleges that you have more money to pay than you really do. And that hurts because they won't give you enough financial aid. But there have always been also been cases, excuse me, where there's a bigger mistake and the financial aid application was really wrong and it sent the wrong information to colleges and they didn't give you any financial aid. That happens too. And you want to know what that is before you submit those forms and before you go on record. So give yourself time to figure out how to position yourself in the right way, and your savings and your assets, so that your EFC is going to be a true reflection of how much you can actually pay. Don't over exaggerate it. All right. Number three, once you have those two things, number three is you'll be able to figure out exactly what type of financial aid you're going to be aiming for. There are four different big financial aid buckets. You can only get two at the same time. So, that's another area that I see a lot of stress and a lot of confusion, because families will reach this time without having known the difference between what those four different systems are and which ones are right for them. And they'll just take the sort of the gunshot approach to, or shotgun, excuse me, approach, and they'll just try to like go after everything. And, you can't be a jack of all trades and, unfortunately, master of none. There's no money in spreading yourself too thin. There is a lot of money, on the other hand, by focusing yourself and your attention and your efforts on the areas of the financial aid system that have the most amount of money for you. So if you know what you can pay, you know what you'll be expected to pay, then you can figure out what area of the financial aid system you're actually going to be going after. And knowing these three things are going to help you pick the right college list, or at least find the best fit colleges. So let me give you an example. Let's just say that you have enough saved to pay $20,000 per year for your kids' college. And let's say that your expected family contribution is around that number too. So let's say it's around $20,000. Well, that's good news. Then what you're going to need to do is look for colleges that give out good need-based financial aid. You don't care about the cost of college itself. Doesn't matter if the colleges cost 30,000, 40,000, heck, even $80,000 a year. That doesn't matter, because if you are expected to pay 20,000 and the college that you're looking at gives out really good need-based financial aid, well, then you'll expect them to make up the difference. You'll still only be responsible for 20,000, but that assumes that you apply to colleges that give 100% of the money that you demonstrate having a need for. And that college actually has money, that they're going to give you free money, grants, scholarships, tuition discounts, not loans. Well, let's look at a different example. What if your, budget is $20,000, but your expected family contribution is more than that? What if it's $30,000? Now, this means that colleges are going to expect you to pay more than what you have saved. Well, if that's you, then you'll need to look at colleges that not only give out good need based financial aid, but plus they also give out good merit based scholarships or tuition discounts for kids just like yours. So, this way, together, you're going to try to get the gap that you have to be made up with need based financial aid and additional merit scholarships. Let's look at a third example. What if your expected family contribution is so high that you just have no chance of qualifying for any need based financial aid? Well, then you want to look for colleges that have really good scholarships and tuition discounts. They're merit type of financial aid for families that have no financial need. There are colleges like that too. You just have to make sure that your student is a really, really good fit for those colleges. And if they want your student, they're going to give you a lot of money. There was a recent study that I talked about in one of the prior episodes that showed that private colleges, or half of all private colleges, automatically discount their tuition by upwards of 56% for good fit students, right? So good matchmaking pays, and you want to make it pay for you, or yeah, for your student. Now, if your family doesn't qualify for any need-based financial aid, and maybe you're having a hard time finding colleges that have a lot of really, you know, good merit-based scholarships for your student, have your kids start looking at outside private scholarships now, like today, ASAP, because there's a ton of money that's available for juniors in high school right now going into their senior year. But they got to start doing this now, because if they only start looking after they get accepted to college in the spring next year, there's going to be much, much less money left over. So start now. Preparation pays a lot. So start doing this research right now when your kids are juniors in high schools. And I promise you're going to save thousands of dollars 12 months from now when your kids apply and get accepted to all of those really good fit colleges that they had applied to. So don't procrastinate. Don't let life get in the way. I get it. We're busy. There's a lot going on, but don't procrastinate. Don't dig your head in the sand like so many families do. And don't go with the I hope we'll get money for college plan. Hope does not pay. Start making that good fit college list now. And just remember, figure out how much can you comfortably afford to pay every year for 4 years. Then figure out how much colleges are going to expect you to pay. Just estimate your expected family contribution. Then, number 3, figure out what type of financial aid you'll be aiming for. Are you going for need based financial aid? Are you going for financial aid? Are you going for private scholarships? There's a fourth area I haven't really talked a lot about in this episode, but we've got others where I've covered that in a lot more detail. But there are tax savings for different kind of families. If you're a lower income or lower to mid income family, there are educational tax credits you can get from the government. And it's like getting a $10,000 tax scholarship per kid. If you're a higher income family and you don't qualify for the tax credit, then you've got a lot of tax savings that you can do with your financial advisor or your CPA, because the way you position your assets to pay for college, or maybe you make your kids pay for college by, gifting certain amounts or certain types of money, and they pay for college, then they can become eligible for a lot of those tax credits. There's a lot that you can do. You just have to start earlier. Don't wait until your kids have already gotten into college and you're presented with that college bill, and only then realize, well, holy crap, Pardon my French. It's a highly technical term and a real life one too, because that's exactly what parents tell me when they open up that envelope and realize that they're not getting as much money as they thought or hoped they were going to get, and that they're going to have to come up with far more out of their pocket than they have saved. So don't be that family. You don't have to be. And like the crucial mistake that those families made earlier on is that they didn't apply to the right fit colleges to begin with. They didn't apply to colleges that had all the money that they needed that they could have gotten because it wasn't the right match. And there's very little they can do at that time, but you have time. You've got options. So please use those options. Take the time, do your research, build your college list. And if you want some help, let me know either right here, right? Whatever website you're, or sorry, whatever social media site you're listening to me on. And if you're watching a replay on the podcast, well, you can always submit your questions. You can email me or go to our website. It's pillar6college.com and book a time to talk to me. And I'll be happy to help either talk about what your personal situation is and what financial aid you should be aiming for, or I can help you put together the right college list. We're here to help. So don't be shy. And if you're going to do this yourself, keep following us because I talk about a lot of these different pieces of the financial aid system. And I provide you with a lot of free resources that you can use on your own to estimate your EFC, to figure out how to fill out the right financial aid forms and when, how to find good fit colleges. And so, with that, I want to say thanks for listening. I hope this episode was helpful and you walked away with at least a couple of gems that can help you on your college planning journey. With that being said, I wish you all the very best. Reach out if you've got questions, and all the best of luck to you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be well.